when I have an issue, I want to phone OMREP and I want to talk to Sue or Jana or whoever it is that each of you like to pick up the phone and talk to. And the answer is that our intention is that that still happens. So when it comes to the whole notion of loss of voice, regional representation, and me getting my localized services, the expectation is we continue to do those things that we do really well, and we do them better. So you'll see in the business case that one of the primary areas where we find the eventual $10 million or $9.3 million, sorry, is from salaries and benefits. It's $2.8 million. But in terms of OMREB's budget right now, salaries and benefits are the majority share of our budget. That's the cost of doing business. So where the reduction comes is largely in the C-suite. So if we move to an amalgamated organization, we don't need 7 Lynnettes. We need 1 CEO. We don't need 7 CFOs. We need 1 CFO. So the primary level of reduction will happen at that management level, okay? When it comes to people on the ground delivering member services, to be able to affect what we're affecting, we will need all of our current great people resources that we have, and we may need more. The reality is management costs more as well. So there's so on balance in the business case, what we have now versus the new entity, there will be a reduction in salaries and benefits, but largely at that management level.
So the answer to the question is most, if not all of our staff, I believe, are staying.
That's the answer.
Because that was the question I was asked. I'm not stating that. And our bricks and mortar are staying.
That's right.
So you'll still drive down to Commercial Drive to pick up your lockbox.
And the reason that you know, and I don't want to be so categorical, because at the end of the day, it's the new entity that will decide. But the reality is, the proposal says there will be a branch location. SOREB leases their space, and so does Kamloops. So the building in Kelowna is the only asset that's actually moving into Realtors of BC, and you know, prudently, good business decision, utilize the assets that you have. So,
and geographically as well.
And geographically, it's central.
Fernando?
So some of the other products that are shown in the new model are in a red, and let's take a phone number, we have 2 million. Why should we be helping them with that $2 million?
Helping which corners?
I think the question was answered by Anthony when they did the case analysis on it, and I'm not selling this. This is what was answered to us is that most of the boards have very similar assets per capita, and nobody's in the red. So you're not subsidizing anybody. I have go look at the business case. I suspect in the business case they have all those assets written out, and you can break it down and do it any way you like it. But nobody's in the red in any of the 6 boards.
Not just
and I believe my guess would be that the 5 that aren't also in the red.
So it's not just, you can find the answer to that question, not just in the business case, but in the voting package that you all received. You have the form of the bylaws for the new entity, so you can see exactly how it's being proposed to be structured. You also have the amalgamation agreement, so you can see exactly what every board has to agree to move forward. And you have the financial statements of all of the organizations that are moving in. So all of that information is there and available for you in your hands right now in your email inbox as of last November 7th, and on Monday you should have received the package again. So by all means, it's there for you to look at. If you have questions, let us know.
As broker owners that are going to be responsible for people no matter what outcome, and you have over 200, are you willing to share what your feeling is the way we should go? And the reason is everybody assumed from listening to people what would happen in the States, and then they were wrong. I'm assuming
we actually, I'll be very honest, we have not had a discussion as a management team and said this is the way we're going to go. It's one of the reasons that we came to today.
Okay.
If you want to come to my office later today and ask me what I'm going to do, you can ask, if you want to go to Wade's office later today and ask him what he's going to do, he's going to do it. What he's going to do, he'll tell you.
Okay.
But we haven't, because we think this is your vote.
It just seems that I sort of read into what I think you're saying, and that's what people in the States did, and they're like, bang.
Well, the interesting thing is Brent asked me, can we do a straw poll at the end of the meeting? I said no. I said that was my opinion. They did one with the 13 people that we had. Can I share it, Grant?
Yeah.
The 13 people was, Barb, sorry. There was about a 50-50 split in the room. when we started, and I think there was one 50-50 and the rest were all yes, or maybe two 50-50s and the rest were all yes by the time they finished the 13. And the 13 gave these guys a harder time. It was a little more direct, because it's easier to do in a small room. I mean, there was no yelling and screaming, but they asked some harder questions, quite frankly, which they had good answers to.
I've kind of gone back and forth 3 times.
And I'll say this, if it goes, hang on, because whenever there is a change, there will be issues. Just like when we changed on the MLS, and that's going to be the biggest one that you got to hang on. But the kind of answer to the MLS one, which is, Paragon is the system that's used by most of the realtors in the province. It's about 85% or whatever the number was of the realtors are currently using it. So
I've looked at it, it looks good.
what's
It's a
that?
very good system.
Yeah, and when I sat in the board of directors, one of the things that we did when we picked Matrix was we wanted critical mass. We wanted to make sure there was lots of people using it because it gave us negotiation ability, and we knew that if there was lots of people using it, it wasn't going to go under, which we had an MLS system do once before. So I'm just speculating that the board of directors, whoever they'll be, because there'll be a new board of directors, let's say this got voted no, is probably going Paragon anyway. So that's going to be the biggest change you're going to see in your life.
And if it helps, well, it's not if it helps, it's intended to help. You'll see on the question of the day on the Matrix pop-up, one of them, this is another frequently asked question, what's the MLS system going to be? We have arranged for some webinar demos, so if anybody is interested in just seeing what Paragon looks like, if that's a concern or a question or I'm not sure, like that's the reason that I'm going to make my decision on. It's available for you just to check it out.
You can Google it now and there's video.
Yeah, there's lots of YouTube.
But I didn't get to finish, which is, hang on, because there will be some things, but I think you have to look at the outcome it's going to be in 18 months if you decide to vote yes. And that should be the reason you're voting yes, is not the income or the outcome that's going to happen in 18 days, or it's going to be in 18 months, or 10 years, or 20 years, or whatever that may be. And we also asked the question in that group was, because Matrix's contract is actually up in April, is that we would really like to not have a new MLS system May 1st. Like ideally, you have a new MLS system on November the 15th.
Yes. Yes.
You know, which has worked out well for this, because I think when we had these guys here last time, most of us weren't even in the room. We were at, a showing, an offer, et cetera, and right now is a good time to discuss it. It would be a good time to change MLSs if we in fact do end up doing that.
There's a constant influx of questions that we field about how this affects the membership, and everything that's going to be done will be done with the membership in mind. I mean, we know what it's like to go through change. We're all realtors. I went through the Connexus change. Thank God we made that move. But most of the things that we're going to be able to do, we're going to be able to do with consideration for our membership.
And keep in mind, yes, go through an amalgamation, go through some change, and will there be some hiccups? Of course there'll be some hiccups. I mean, going through any change is going to be tough. But think about the alternative. If you think that we're not going to go through some change if we don't move forward with this, I think that would be optimistic. We're going to continue to go through change, and it's a question of whether it's change that we're directing or change that's coming at us that we're going to have to respond to.
And respectfully, I think, the idea of change and some like Ken was saying about change, don't be afraid of change. I don't think for a lot of the people that are on the no side though, where I was originally, is that I have a fear of change. That's not the problem. It's a matter of that we're somewhat insular, right? That there's a sense of, as I mentioned in that meeting, that I have this phantom board. I love the phantom board because you know what? I don't mind paying for it. Whenever I need someone, I pick up the phone and there they are. It's great. But I really don't need them for anything, right? It's fantastic. So why can't we just remain in the Okanagan? And yet, this is apparently our one chance to sort of side up and become something bigger. The voice, the whatever it might be, this might be your one and only. Never seen this happen before in all the years that we've been around, right, Francis? That if you look at it, here's your chance to make change on a massive scale, and then it's set. We're on our way, right? The voice, the whatever it is. It doesn't mean you're going to lose those services, right?
I will say this, which is interesting. Wade and I were at the Royal Page Brokers Conference in April, and I got asked a lot. They're very intrigued to see how this is all going to work from other provinces, because they're having the same issues we're having with government, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They were pretty excited to hear how it was going to go. And unfortunately, we are going to be the guinea pigs because we got there first. for a variety of reasons, whether it's leadership or default or whatever it is, but we're here. But I would suspect that you're going to see other provinces, at least the smaller ones, that are going to also look at this. Ontario may never get there, but nor may Quebec. But the other smaller provinces, I think, would look at this. We'll be looking at this as well. And it was discussed at the table when I was a director 15 years ago. How can we get this to work? I remember having conversations with Sora and Kamloops saying, why aren't we back together? Because it just makes sense.
And just to Grant's point a little bit is, when this vote takes place, interestingly, we were doing a presentation just the other day, and we did a straw poll, and one of the realtors had a hand up at the start saying he was a no. At the end, he was still a no, even though a lot of people had converted, and that's not a reason for him to convert as well. But I went up afterwards and I asked him, explain to me your position on it, because I'm really curious. And he said, I don't like to vote yes on the first vote for anything. And I said, well, it was very clear to me that, and he had a couple other little things there too that we talked about, but just so everyone understands, there's not a redo on this. This is not the Quebec referendum where you try it again every 2 or 3 years. If this thing goes in the ditch, it's going to stay in the ditch. There's not going to be another option. All the work that Anthony and all the other working presidents have done, and to renew this with presidents changing every year, is not going to happen. We're going to be right back where we were, and we're going to have to stay there. So keep that in mind while you're voting on the 6th.
As of 2017, just keep that in mind, and it was spoken about too. Whole new group of presidents, whole new group of board of directors, literally starting over again. Like the fact that we got to this point over 2 terms, we've had, like I'm the second president, Christopher was the first sitting on this, and every board is in the same boat. It's literally a miracle. It's a miracle that we were able to keep this on the same track with a complete changeover of leadership at the table. And again, the idea that if we started from scratch again, it would just be a disaster.
One little point here, and Ken said, about the fear factor. Yes, there's lots of fear when you're going into new, but that's constant change is the only thing constant in our lives. I don't think it's change, but it's about transparency. That's why some people have an issue. Why are we hearing for the first time that our contract is coming up for our MLS system now? And then we're going to have to make a choice on a new system or whatever. Why is that coming up now? Like, this is the $99.
That's not news, Diane. That's been around for a long time about the MLS
I
contract.
have seen no comments from our board, pro or con, with respect that we have to consider this as well.
Oh, they've been
Since
out
this
there.
conversation started,
You know what, Diane?
a year and a half ago, we haven't.
I would agree, and that's why we're here. I think we've presented everything as best as we could as a brokerage. That's why we gathered the bigger room. I've asked them to come in. We put the 13 people in the room before to kind of get the ground rules set to find out. And as we said, we've got some more information than we've got today. We're here today. So,
Would you want to ask for forgiveness later? It's constant.
I think I have to.
Coming around.
That I think that there is information was available for us about everything. I think we have to wait till the fire.
and interesting, Diane, I'm going to defend them as well because maybe at a local level, but at a provincial level, I went to that website months ago. It was extensive. It hasn't changed a lot. And
I went
it's
through that website.
Wait, you know what? Let's, we said we would break at 10:30. It's 10:30. One thing,
Can we explain the vote, Francis?
quick comment. You're going to lose the room.
Okay, so within there will definitely be one voice, but it might not necessarily be the voice representing us in the open office. That's my concern. And are we able to have an impact on the office of DC?
Yes.
Two votes.
Two votes, we'll have votes, so the major boards will have the same, and whether it's something.
You know what? Kind of ask me that question because having sat on the board later, and I'll touch on that one. But that's the comment. It's a lost voice. But
Lots of regional voice, but not necessarily on a provincial
but
level.
the gain is one voice. So you have to decide which of those.
But just a second, there is also regional voice built into the process, don't forget. You have, through that regional advisory group, there is, Okanagan will have 2 or 3 places at that table, and you get to select who it is you want to be there. So that's baked into the process as well. So that voice absolutely maintains.
All right,
Can we
10:30.
can we explain the vote, maybe? Can we explain the voting process?
The vote is December the 6th.
Okay, so December 6th, you all got your meeting package, everything's in there, including your proxies. December 6th, the vote is in at the Winfield Lake
Memorial
Country
Hall.
We
Memorial
don't have
Hall.
packages yet.
Yes, you
Everybody's
do.
got their package. Got email them.
They've probably all been deleted. Well, they were sent out on Monday, this past Monday again.
We're not getting an envelope, physical email package?
It's 100 and some odd pages. Like, it's a big package, and that's why it was emailed, as opposed to killing trees.
I haven't got an email, and I'm certainly not gonna sit in front of a screen and read it. Send me a
Well, I
packet.
want to bet you that
Send
you
me
got an
a
email.
packet.
We are obligated to send that package out. What you need out of there, what I printed out was the agenda and the proxies. You want to read 180 pages? It's up to you.
So if I come to the meeting, I got no paper, I'm allowed to vote?
Oh, absolutely. So the way the process works
I'm just
is,
trying to figure out how it works.
so your package, the official notice of meeting, and every board has delivered their package the same way. It's consistent with how we've been delivering packages for the last 2 years for the AGM. Email came out. In that email, there are links to all of the meeting packages, which includes the formal resolution you'll be voting on. It includes the amalgamation agreement, the bylaws for the new organization, and the audited financials of all of the other organizations, as well as proxies. So your official notice of meeting is there. You do not need to register. If you are a member, you are absolutely entitled to show up to vote. When you show up, the vote will occur by a show of hands. It'll be a paper ballot. And that's how the vote will be cast. And that's consistent with our bylaw. We have no option on that. It has to be an in-person vote, and it has to be one person casts their vote. You are each entitled to carry 2 proxies. So for people that can't be here on December 6th, again, encourage you to fill your proxy out, give it to somebody that you hope to carry your vote in the way that you would like it to be cast. And by the end of that meeting, we will know how OMREB's membership chooses to move forward.
There's an open discussion at 8:30.
Thank you.
Yeah, we start at 8:30. There will be one last chance for a back and forth questions discussion. Registration will close at 9:45. So at 9:45 to show up, register that you're there, and have your vote counted. Meeting will start at 10. There will be an opportunity for talking, not questions.
Statements for and against.
Statements for and against, and then at the end of that, whenever people are finished talking, that's when votes will be cast. We will count them on site, and we'll have the results by the end of the day.
Where is it?
Winfield, the Lake Country Community Hall.
Right across from the high school.
On bottom.
Right where the
bottom
playground is on Barry. And they're not doing it to make you drive. Remember, we have people from Salmon Arm and Vernon have to come. That makes
Revelstoke.
logical sense. And
Revelstoke.
Revelstoke. All right, let's thank all of these folks for coming. Let's get on with our day.
Okay, thanks
Thank you.
everybody.